Welcome to Executive Exchange Radio with moderator Joe Cristiano, America's corporate exorcist. Hosted by Dr. Jennifer Beeman and George Gutierrez, trusted advisors to chief executives and business leaders across the nation. If you would like to add to the conversation, call 646-652-4620.
Now, Dr. Jennifer, what about from the employee perspective? Let's take, for example, an employee who feels that maybe they should be paid a little bit more. I mean, they're not being cheated. They know that. They know that they're not underpaid so much, but they really wish they would make more. And the employee goes in and said, and the company says, well, you know, we only have so much money to allocate towards payroll, obviously, just like anything else. But the employee also knows that the company gave X number of dollars to certain charities. Have you ever come up with addressed that problem where the company had to justify giving to the charity and not to the employee, even if you feel that they deserved it? Dr. Jennifer, you there? Oh.
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you now.
Yes.
Did you hear my question?
I sure did, yes.
Okay, yes, please.
Yes, I did.
We're waiting for your response.
Yes, I've definitely come across that in my time. Depending on the employee's level of, where they're at in the organization and their ability to understand how budgeting works, oftentimes they're not going to quite understand that there's, budget constraints for different categories, in the most basic sense. But really what it comes down to is relationships. Oftentimes what we need to do is find ways to compensate them in other ways rather than monetary in order to satisfy them. Because it's imperative that we keep them satisfied if we're going to keep them as a happy employee. If they're not happy, their productivity is going to wane. Now, when they see us, donating to charities and stuff like that, and they feel like they deserve a raise and they didn't get it, that's almost an entirely different conversation, and it goes back to, why they feel that way. Really what the details of their employee evaluation or appraisal has been, their tenure with the company. There's a whole lot of factors involved, but really I think what it boils down to is the relationship that we have with the employee. Because the truth be told, all companies have budgets, and donating is quite common among, companies, and employees don't understand that, especially when they want a raise or they think they deserve a raise. So I think it all starts with relationships. And if you don't have one yet and you're confronted with a question like that, now's a good time to create one or start working on one, because the goal is to preserve that relationship.
Right. But how do you respond to the employee that makes this comment? Give me the extra money and I will be able to contribute to these organizations. You don't have to do that. I can do it because I'm making more money.
Oh my.
Isn't that a good one, huh?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm the type of guy you never want to date because I ask these questions,
Right, exactly.
You jump out of the car while going 60 miles an hour and say, I can't take this guy anymore. Okay.
No. Those types of questions are totally and completely inappropriate. They're very, very inappropriate. And so to me, we reframe the direction of that conversation, because it is not about, give me the money and I'll donate it appropriately. That employee is totally out of line. And to me, it goes far deeper than just the question. If they're asking that question, there's been signs that the question was coming up. there's maybe an attitude issue that we need to contend with.
Okay, but let me rephrase it then. The employee says nothing, right? But in their own mind, they say, hey, I had an appraisal. I got a raise of, let's say, 50 cents an hour, and they thought they deserved 75 or $1, or whatever the case may be. And they're saying, and yet they gave X number of dollars to these charities, and I got a raise less than I deserved, Now, they don't say anything. They'll never say anything, and I doubt they'll ever have this conversation, but they'll think that. Isn't that more detrimental to the organization as a whole than the goodwill that the government gets for making the charity?
Oh, yes. Especially when the employee doesn't say anything, because they harbor those feelings, and it comes out in the quality of their work, and it comes out in the productivity of their work.
Right. So your productivity may go down, right?
Exactly.
It may go down. So the company makes less money, which means they can contribute less,
Right.
So now I'm going to turn over to the sergeant here and see what he has to say. Sergeant, what do you have to say?
Maybe I didn't articulate myself as well as I thought I did. First and foremost, I do not believe in a welfare society whatsoever. And I wasn't saying that the local corporations or companies are obligated to donate back to the community. What I was stating was, as far as if you take care of your soldiers, they'll take care of you. If you're involved in the community, it doesn't have to be a financial obligation. If you're involved in the community, you are on the school board, you are coaching Little League, along those lines. If you are active and going back to what George said, it doesn't take a village, he doesn't agree with that, and I respect that very much. When I say it takes a village to raise a child, I mean, like when I was a kid, if I was doing something wrong down the street, trust and believe, that person came out the house and took care of it. I think that
the problem with that is you make me think of Hillary Clinton, and don't
go there. Please don't go there. She ruined our military. Don't go there. But my point being is, as leaders, whether you come back from the military, like it took me 18 years to get out of my town, 25 years to come back. How I grew up in a small blue-collar town, coming from hardworking parents, both of them, me joining the military, going away, coming back, I felt I needed to get something back to the community. And it's not military, it's not money-wise, not monetary-wise, but to help another young man or woman that was in my situation to understand they can do something better. So I apologize. I guess I didn't articulate it correctly, because trust and believe, I do not believe in a welfare society. I believe you get paid for what you do. I believe in fiscal responsibility. If you have the means to donate to charities, God bless you, thank you, but it's not a mandate by any means. Yeah. I was going a different route, and I apologize. It's kind of
so Steve, so let me reframe the question, because there is something that it's very much relatable that I'm very familiar with, and based on the work that I know you've done in the past few years. So Joe's talking about, and you posed the question to Dr. Beeman about, what about this person that feels this kind of way, and so how do you sort of address that? And Dr. Beeman goes back, and really talks about, performance reviews, etc. Now, one of the things that I do know, as a matter of fact, that you did and always continue to do very well when it comes to people, when it comes, taking care of people, and this is very much relatable to the work environment, is that you followed to the T a good counseling program. Now, it's not necessarily a performance review, but can you explain to me or to the listeners how that monthly counseling program works, to where you actually, you have middle managers actually once a month meet with the individual worker and talked about their goals? How did that work?
This is addressed to me, George?
Yes.
I was taught by the best when it comes to counseling. And I also learned a very valuable lesson as a young non-commissioned officer in the Army. Babying your soldier employees is not taking care of them. So throughout the counseling process, whether you're counseling an employee or a soldier or the case may be, you lay out actual things that happened. These are not opinions. These are objectives, and then you form an objective to improve that area. And to sit and praise somebody all the time is not effective at all. Praise is due at times, but honesty goes a lot further. And again, my connection's a little off, but I think that's what you were asking.
No, so Joe, I mean, to the point of, what Dr. Beeman was alluding to from an appraiser's perspective, and then from the visualization that you created in our minds, that picture that you said, if an employee says nothing, then how do you deal with that? When he didn't get the pay raise that he thought he was going to get, or when he got a pay raise, but he thought he should deserve more. And then he said, and I like the way you did it, because you put your hand out and you said, well, give it to me. I can do better with that money. And so what Steve engaged in was a methodical, a method of meeting with the individual employee, once a month. They would literally sit down and they would look at past performance. This is what you did. This is what you didn't do. And then they looked forward and they said, okay, for the next month, we want you to concentrate in doing this and improving in these areas or achieving these goals. And by doing so, by doing so, Joe, they were able to keep things clear and crisp. In other words, expectations were always talked about. And when there was failures in performance, that wasn't praised, but it was brought out in a positive way, so the individual would improve over time. And then, at the end of the year, if a person didn't get promoted, they would know why. So it wouldn't become news at the end of the year that their performance wasn't very well. They were giving an opportunity to grow and learn from their mistakes, as they mature more into the organization and learn more about, what their expectations were.
Yeah.
So he couldn't come back and say, well, I'm not going to get my promotion because I'm the wrong color and, I didn't do something right. He would say, no, you didn't achieve that promotion because you didn't do your job.
Right. You didn't your level of performance did not warrant moving to the next level so that we're assured that you can do the new job as well as understand what needs to be done in the lower level jobs. And I understand that. But how many corporations, though, do talk about how they spend their money to the employees? There always seems to be this secretive nature of money. Everyone's afraid to talk about money. And they shouldn't be, in my opinion. They should say, look, this company dedicates X number of dollars a year, which equates to what percent of our revenue, which could be divvied up to everyone else, but we give it to charity, and you can say it's on your behalf if you want, and that's fine, But how many corporations actually do that and explain to the employees how the company spends their money so that when they're given a raise or an appraisal and hopefully with some sort of remuneration attached to it, that they understand better what they are receiving?
Well, I'll let Dr. Beeman chime in, but I do know of a few that actually report annually, and some actually report quarterly to their employees, and they do give them, sort of a basic look at how monies are being spent. So here's an example. We have a local corporation that literally donated $30,000 to a project in the community. Now, here's how they did it. They gave the employees a chance to donate. And so the donees donated whatever they could, and then the corporation, kicked in with something else. to meet that goal of 30,000. And once they met that goal, they reported it. So, so for example, the organization that Steve comes from, they use a combined federal campaign. So each federal employee had an opportunity to donate $1, $2, or $3, or whatever they want to, and it would come out as a payroll deduction. And at the end of the year, those organizations will report back on how much they raised. And the beauty of that was that the employee got to choose where their donations went. So the corporation couldn't decide where that money went because the employee had an ability to say, I wanted to go to this particular, community need.
Okay. Dr. Jennifer, you have any comments on that? Maybe a disagreement. Is she there?
Well, I was really hoping to have some disagreements so people would call back and insult me or something. They haven't.
Dr. Jennifer, did you hear me? Oh, jeez.
Dr. Jennifer.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Okay, there you go. There, you're back. Okay. All right. We have a little lag here. I'm sorry, but I don't know why.
That's okay.
All right. Do you agree the methodology that George just advocated?
I believe that it depends on the organization. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Okay. That's okay.
Do you agree with the methodology that?
Dr. Beeman, you still there?
Yes, I think
For
the
some
lag.
reason we have this being repeated. I have no idea why. Okay, I think we're okay. We're clear now. Go ahead, Jennifer.
That's okay. Okay.
Do you agree with the methodology that?
I think it's dependent on the organization. I don't believe that it's always necessary for employees to know how much is donated. I think it's important that they know that the company is involved in donating to organizations. But depending on the situation, I don't think it's always appropriate. I think there's a lot of factors involved. The level of cohesiveness, the type of organization, if it's factory level workers and they're aware of how much is being donated, it might create more tension than it's worth. So just if they know that if the company's involved in, social responsibility and conscious capitalism, I think sometimes that's enough.
Okay, I'd like to. We're past the witching hour, but I want to make one last comment. If there's any monies left over in any company, I'm your favorite charity. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
I refuse nothing. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Command Sergeant Major Stephen Smith, thank you so much for being on Executive Exchange Radio. Dr. Jennifer Beeman, and of course George Gutierrez of the BMOC Group. This has been a fun conversation. I'm sorry for the few technical glitches we had, and I hope to see all you guys again maybe in a couple of weeks. Okay? Are there any closing comments that you'd like to make?
Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer.
Thank you for the patience.
Okay, thank you. We will fix this up. It'll be a little smoother next time, I guarantee you. I think it's going to cost me about $5,000, but anything for you, Jennifer. Okay.
There we go. That's a good answer.
Sergeant and George, you have any closing words?
Go ahead.
Thank you for having me. I love these conversations. I learn something every time I have a debate, especially with George. But Dr. Beeman, great meeting you. Joe, again, thank you for having me, and I look forward to maybe a possible return invitation, unless it was unimpressive.
You're just fine. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again. George, your closing remark, please.
I appreciate the time to talk about things that I'm passionate about, which is really, they're all around leadership and helping people. I really enjoyed picking on Steve today, and I was hoping for some angry comments.
And it was a pleasure to meet you too.
From the listening audience. We'll do it again in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, everyone. And thanks, everyone, for listening to Executive Exchange Radio. This is Joe Cristiano, your moderator, saying until next time, stay tuned.